This video is brought to you by the Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County, the South Florida Science Center and Aquarium, PNC Grow Up Great, Palm Beach State College, and the Institute of Excellence in Early Care and Education. We're going to be talking about tissue paper lasagna and how layering can cause color changes. We're going to have a brief introduction to chemistry, and we're also going to touch a little bit about how exploration can happen through the arts. So let's go ahead and begin. There's a couple steps involved prior to beginning your activity. Biggest thing is to make sure you have a bunch of glue available. Before you begin, you want to water down some of the glue already so that it's a little easier to paint on there. You also want to make sure to already have pre-cut your tissue paper. You can separate it by color, but that's completely up to you. You don't have to. Make sure you have a paintbrush wash station. So as they're getting glue and tissue paper on the paintbrushes, it's going to get really messy, and that's okay, but you want to make sure that if the kids want to wash it off and have a clear slate, they have a place where they can wash their paintbrushes off, so an extra cup with just water. Also, before you go into the glue portion of it, try just water. Then you can incorporate the glue into it and say what happens with the water glue, how does it change, how does it behave. And as you're going through this, you want to talk briefly about how this is like chemistry and how chemists are always combining things and changing stuff and making new things, and how the kids are being just like chemists as they're playing with that tissue paper and making their lasagna. This activity does build on some of your Florida early learning and developmental standards. We've got scientific inquiry, and we also have creative expression through the arts via the appreciation of the arts. We're also going to be working on some of your building blocks of STEAM. We have investigation and problem solving, creativity, shape, senses, classifying objects, chemistry, and change. The activity of actually making the lasagna is pretty simple. They're really working on their motor skills of being able to add one layer to the next. You can start off with the water just first, or you could just jump right into the glue section of it. So I'm going to do both. You'll put down a piece of tissue paper, just take water with a paintbrush and see how that changes it. Definitely talk about mixing colors and how it causes your tissue paper to change. You can use light colors and dark colors. We'll put a dark blue on here. And as you do that, your colors are going to bleed, so you can see how it's starting to change the color from like a light blue to a different color. Then once they've understood the water portion of it, you can move on to the glue part. The glue is just going to help the tissue paper stick a little bit better. So have a few of them already there. Again, you can have your tissue paper sorted out into different colors, and so you can paint on the glue. And you can put it on there, try to have them make different shapes, which would look really nice. Maybe have them have an idea of what they want to make before they start. But the idea is to explore the different colors and how things are going to change, and the lasagna process is just so it goes higher and higher. As you notice on the paintbrush, it is going to start doing that bleeding that we talked about. So if it gets really messy, that's okay. You want to tell them that there's nothing wrong with that. If they want to rinse out their paintbrush so that it's a little less kind of runny, that's okay too. It's just all about exploration and kind of seeing how colors are going to change as they work. You will notice that the colors keep bleeding together as they keep adding more and more layers on it. That's the whole point of this. Have the different colors of tissue paper, try making your primary colors your secondary colors and seeing how that changes. The bleeding effect is really what you're looking for here in the whole chemistry aspect of the whole activity. During the activity, you can ask some of these expanding questions, which will further their knowledge as they're learning. We can talk about how layering the different tissue paper is very similar to making lasagna, because you have to make the layers of lasagna. You can also talk about how it's different, because you're not going to eat the tissue paper, unlike the lasagna, which you do eat. Definitely ask those open-ended questions, like what do you think will happen if this or that? You can also talk about colors and how two colors might mix together to make a new one. You can definitely bring attention to the fact that the glue is changing colors as they're dipping different colors of tissue paper back and forth. And definitely talk about what happens to the actual paper as you're adding glue to it and the water to it, and what's happening to the tissue paper as you're making your lasagna. You can also take this activity further. We can talk about how you can make a watercolor by taking the different tissues and putting them into different containers of water and leaving them for about a day or only a couple hours, depending on how much time you have with the kids, and how it'll eventually turn into like a watercolor paint. You could also try doing this paper mache activity not on a paper plate and like stacking it that way, but putting it on top of a plastic bottle or a glass bottle or any other container that you might have in the space around you, so that they have a new form of doing the same activity but a little bit different. You could instead do it on contact paper. It's a little less messy that way, and so you can rip the paper into little pieces and you can make a design, and then the kids can color by putting the tissue paper on there. You would fold the contact paper over itself, and then you can hang it up on a window, or you could use flashlights to see how the color changes when light is flashing through that. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope this will help you have a better understanding of how to teach this class to your early learners.